Welcome to this week's GCN Tech Clinic. This is where we pick out the questions you've been leaving in the comments section underneath our videos, and then Hank and I try to offer the best advice we possibly can. You can leave the hashtag askgcntech in your question, and it helps pick it out.
You've drafted in the big guns, haven't you?
I have drafted in the big guns. Hank, what's our first comment?
This one is from Seismic.
Seismic.
The hardest bit for me about the GCN Tech Clinic is reading out the names.
Come on,
Anyway, will it mess up my hydraulic brake system if I store my bikes vertically on a mural support? Now, interestingly, I've done the exact same thing, and I actually had the same thought process.
If the system's set up correctly, you're going to have no issue whatsoever. If it happens that there's a tiny little bit of air in there, that'll work up to the lever, and you might find you have to pump the lever a few times to get it to self-adjust. Yeah, 100%. Next question is from Henry Remo. They say, hi, Alex. Just addressed to me, sorry, mate. I wish to have one gravel bike for everything instead of having road wheels. I can just switch between my gravel and road tyres.
Goodbye, N+1.
Yeah, can a gravel rim accommodate a road tyre? Yes, it can, but you need to take into consideration the internal rim width to make sure that it's compatible with the width of the tyre that you're going to use. Generally, gravel wheels are a bit wider than road wheels, therefore you might find you need to have a slightly wider road tyre.
Interestingly, though, road tyres back in the day were obviously like 21 mil tyres, and now they're going up to 28s to 30 mils. So chuck on a pair of 28s or 30 and you're going to have no issues.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, but I would say check. Yeah. Because there are going to be like limitations with some brands and widths. So there you go.
I've got one in from Quincus 15. Yeah. You guys live in the UK should make a review of how long a wax chain remains waxed on the bike under wet conditions and how frequently you re-wax it, which is interesting because we're not far off the winter. I personally don't wax my chain, so I use a kind of wet lube during the winter months. But I know you've done a lot of testing on waxed chains.
I can't help it, can I? I'm a big bike nerd.
You love it.
I actually rode at the weekend in awful weather conditions with a waxed chain. It was freshly done, ready to go, so I did just over 100k. No issues whatsoever. The chain ran silky smooth, no grinding, stuff like that. Finished the end of the ride, wiped the chain over with a rag, and it was still good to go. I reckon I could have done perhaps another 1 or 2 short rides. So I think you could probably estimate in bad weather conditions somewhere north of 150k on one single application. Yeah. So all I would have needed to do was wipe the chain over and put a little bit of drip on wax lube on, and we're ready to roll. Yeah, so I think that's pretty good.
Oh yeah, that's actually mega, to be fair.
Next question is from Zardas von Lauren 7009. I'm not sure if I murdered that username.
No, it sounds like one of Elon Musk's next child.
They say, hey people, love your show. I've learned so much. My question, could we share some advice, please, on how to deal with wind noise while riding? Thank you.
I know what you're going to say.
What?
Go on.
Just ride slower.
Yeah. No one wants to ride slow just because of wind noise. Anyway, moving on to a serious point.
Yeah.
Now, wind noise is normally collected by the straps along your helmet. So if you've got kind of the straps that are flapping, that are creating that, the wind to pass through them and make them flap and vibrate and create noise, then that could be part of the reason. So maybe just try and tighten your straps up a bit to stop the flap and drop the vibration in the
it's just making that stupid noise, isn't it? So annoying.
Yeah.
And also, if you're wearing any loose clothing, that'll help reduce a little bit of noise. I've also, years ago, seen this one weird product. I think, someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was called cat ears. Don't be alarmed here. But it was like little furry things that clipped on the straps of your helmet. It's like some incredible sideburns, and it buffeted the wind noise.
Basically what you're saying is grow big sideburns, become Bradley Wiggins, and you'll have you won't have any wind noise.
You go for this next question then.
Jonathan Vera 1699. How accurate is the burnt calorie counter on bike computers? I use a Garmin Edge 830 and often wonder if I really did burn 4,000 calories in my ride. Moreover, how does the head unit calculate a burned calorie? Will Garmin and Wahoo head units give the same calorie result? I think this warrants a video.
I think it does.
I think you really hit the nail on the head there, because it is really hard to understand if those are really accurate numbers. Now, a few things we can give you is a power meter is incredibly accurate. And if you utilize that power meter with a heart rate monitor to get not only your output, but also your body, how your body is coping, your strain effect, that will give you a pretty accurate calorie count.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that, actually. That is... Power meter and heart rate monitor, you're giving information on the amount of strain and physical amount of work that you've done. That's how you're getting something pretty accurate, because there is literally a mathematical equation to go the work done and over a certain period of time. So average power, the time you ride. It's a calculation. It'll give you an output in joules, and then you can convert joules to calories.
Yeah.
If you're not using a heart rate monitor or a power meter, it is a very vague estimate. It's the head units, and there's again a calculation, but it's looking at the time that you've exercised and making some pretty wild assumptions on information that you've provided, like height, weight, your vague level of fitness. Now, if you're using a power meter to get calorie calculations, I reckon there's about a 5% error margin. If you're using no measuring device, so no power meter, I reckon you've got a 30% margin of error, which is huge.
Yeah. And I think if you do want to know more on this, now, Cy, actually a few years ago now, we tried to burn 10,000 calories in one ride. So if you want to check out what 10,000 calories looks like in riding time, then make sure you head over to that video and check that out.
All right, next question is from Andy Emai. It says, after 1,000 kilometers in 3 months, my Shimano HD40 8-speed chain is worn by 1 millimeter, confirmed with different measuring methods. Is it just me, or is 1,000 kilometers on one chain rather little mileage? Only ride in dry conditions with muck off dry lube. Any ideas? 100%, that is not normal.
No.
You've ripped through that chain. A couple of different things that could be happening is that I would make sure the components on your bike aren't worn out. So check the cassette isn't worn and the chain rings aren't worn, because if they are, that will cause premature wear on the chain. Now, no chain lube is going to be bad enough that your chain's going to wear out in 1,000 kilometers. I've never heard of such a wear rate unless it's literally plastered in grit and grime. But if you're saying you're following the correct maintenance and care for it, I think you need to get those other components checked first.
And what kind of timeline are you looking at on a chain then?
Oh, how long is a piece of string? It depends how well depends the condition you ride in, depends how well you maintain
Ballpark.
it. 10 times more than that.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Right, next question from Dave Newton 9366. You answered a question regarding carbon rim wear. I'm a fan, but also a powerful rider. How do we know when they have worn beyond being safe? Interesting question.
Yeah. Do you want me to take this?
Yeah.
Okay, so the brake surface on a rim brake bike, think of it as two parallel sides like this. The brake contacts the side, and that's how it works. As the brake pad wears away on this braking surface, it's going to wear away at the material on the rim as well as the brake pad. So once this starts to get a slight curve to it, that's because the material has been worn away. Rim brake alloy wheels, many of them tend to have a little wear indicator dot on the rim, which is like recessed inside. So when that little wear dot can no longer be visible, that's when the rim needs replacing. Carbon wheels don't tend to have that. So what I would say is look carefully. If you can feel there's a curve to the braking surface, it's an indicator that it's worn and might need to replace it. Now, if you're unsure on the level of wear, I think this is a good example of when your local bike shop will come in really handy.
Yeah, and I think this is the great, invention of disc brakes.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages.
You don't go through wheels, you go through...
All right. That was it. That was the last question for this week's Tech Clinic. Hank, thanks for sharing your insight into this. Very interesting. Right, we're out of here. Keep letting us know your comments and questions in the questions.
Yeah, whatever you're finding tough with, let us know, and then hopefully Alex can sort it.
Right, see you later.
See you in the next video. Bye.